In this week's episode of The Flash, Family of Rogues, we continue to explore trust issues, and we introduce a lot of family issues. Before we get into that, I got some other thoughts. This episode was the first episode this season that I really felt like was true traditional Flash. It's not that the past two episodes have been bad. They haven't been. They were really good. It's just that I finally feel like we're getting to what the core of the show last year was, in saving people and working together and just having fun doing it. Even though the stakes are kind of high, there's still a sense of fun. Sure, the subplot of Iris's mob coming back is kind of depressing, and Wells showing up at the end wasn't great, and the whole Dad Snart threatening to kill his daughter thing was unpleasant, but on the whole, it was fun. From Barry trying to run into the breach to Cisco telling Jay that we need to hang out more, I knew we were in for a fun episode. We need Cisco to be doing more impressions of people on this show, because his impression of Stein was pretty good and quite funny right up until the whole Lisa Snart thing of it all. And on that, did Barry think Lisa was going to recognize him so much so that he hid behind his coffee mug as if she would announce to everyone at Jitters that Barry was the Flash? Barry was way too giddy to go undercover, and delightfully awkward at it. So this episode sort of set up a couple of couples a little bit better than last week's episode. We have Jay and Caitlin, who clearly have a connection, and the writers seem to be letting the whole Barry-Patty thing play out. But mostly I'm glad that we continue to see Lisa Snart and Cisco have their day in the sun. The idea of heroes and villains falling in love with each other isn't exactly new, but it is the first time we are seeing it on the show. And it always seems to lead to a nice, fun conflict. And while I'm sure that Barry Iris is the endgame, or at least it's what people seem to want, I can't wait to explore Barry Patty. Although, they are basically the same person. I don't know if that makes them perfect or completely wrong for each other. Either way, I hope it's fun. And of course, the whole episode seemed to be designed to set up Captain Cold being on Legends of Tomorrow. There were two central themes going on with this episode. One was the continuing theme of trust that we've set up over the past two episodes, although this time it wasn't so much Barry as it was everyone else needing to trust people they weren't exactly expecting to. You had Joe having to tell Iris that he was lying to her for most of her entire life, that her mother was dead, to which Joe was expecting her to react badly. I don't exactly blame him for that. Last year she didn't react all that well to finding out that everyone was keeping a massive Barry secret, but it does seem she learned from that, and maybe now she understands that sometimes people lie to you for your own good, and sometimes people lie to you for their own good, and you gotta figure out which one it is, and in this case I'm pretty sure it's for Iris's own good. She seems to realize it, and we'll see. And the other kind of major trust issue conflict we had in this episode was Team Flash versus Team Rogues. They kind of had to trust each other and work together, and working together in previous episodes didn't go so well. But in this episode, it seemed to go better. Yes, it did give us some pretty good Cisco Lisa Snart stuff, but it also gave us kind of this new ground for understanding between villains and heroes. Specifically, kind of what motivates villains versus what motivates heroes, and they're all basically the same. It's family. You have Barry, who when he became the Flash set out to prove his father's innocence, and then you have Leonard Snart, who when faced with a similar challenge decided to be evil because his father had been evil and he really didn't know anything better. These ideas of like how you get raised, how your family behaves, how it affects your life, these are not uncommon themes in this world, so it's kind of fun to watch them explore it. It's nice to see the writers and the producers of the show pushing forward with this kinds of ideas of family, and what constitutes a family, and how does your family define you, and stuff like that. With that, you still see some pretty serious contrast between Leonard Snart and Barry Allen, because when someone was hurting Barry's family, he wanted to punish him but not kill him, whereas when someone was hurting Captain Cold's family, he killed him. Just happened to be his father. He's got some daddy issues. This episode left me with more questions than the previous one, and maybe even the season premiere, but I feel like a lot of my questions that I've been asking myself are going to be answered in the next couple episodes. One of the bigger questions is, how will Iris react to meeting her mother? It seems like it's going to go well from a standpoint that she won't outright just reject her mother, but it's going to be fun coming forward. I think the true fans of the show will understand when I say that the most important romantic relationship on the show is not between Barry and Iris, but between Lisa Snart and Cisco. I just think that's going to be fun, and I think that the producers need to bring Peyton List onto the show as a full-time character so that way we can get more and more of it every week, because it's just so fun to watch them together. Because Cisco is so incredibly awkward around girls that he thinks are attractive, and this one is less than good. It's just fun. Of course, at some point, Captain Cold has to break out of prison. Will Lisa help him? Will that play into her relationship with Cisco? See, so many questions! We did get to see the real Harrison Wells show up at the end of the episode on Earth 1. He traveled through the little portal thing. We, the viewers, know through interviews with people associated with the show that this version of Harrison Wells is not possessed, is not somebody pretending to be Harrison Wells, but the actual Harrison Wells. What kind of agenda does the real Wells have? What's up with Firestorm? This is the second episode in a row we've ended with a cliffhanger with Dr. Stein collapsing. He's clearly missing his other half, and we know it's not going to be Ronnie, but I think most of the questions I have about Firestorm are going to be answered in the next episode, since it's called The Fury of Firestorm. This episode was pretty good. It was on par with last week's episode. I still think the premiere was the best of the 3 episodes, but like I said last week, I'm not worried about there being a sophomore slump. I know 3 episodes in, it still looks good. It looks like they're trying really hard to make sure we don't have a sophomore slump. Who knows what'll happen, but I'm optimistic about the future of the show. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next week.